Don't look at me! Don't look at me! I am not an animal! Hi. This is Kara from Lady Kara Tarot. You will understand that in just a moment. This is my January stop by and start reading tarot, no buy, low buy, deck of the month, January decks. It's everything January 2026 all wrapped into one. Trying to take advantage of some natural light here in front of a window, but there is nowhere for my glasses to not have a glare on them. So I may take them off and on as the case may be. Hi. I hope you all had a wonderful January. This may be long. I'm going to try to set it up technically a little bit differently. Some of the deck pairings that I used, I'm just going to insert some photos afterwards in the magic of editing. Okay, so January, if you recall, my word of the year was retrench. And during the month of January, I came to a saying of less viewing, more reading. One of them was successful, just one of them. I think you are looking at the magnificent failure of my low buy, no buy. Maybe not as bad, but I mean, it definitely was retrenching because it wouldn't be hard to retrench from what my standard was last year. So that's where I'll start. I think I'll start with the decks that came in. I had on my no buy, low buy, I had 2 out clauses, 1 deck a month. And yes, for a lot of you, that's a lot, 12. But remember, this gal brought in at least 8 decks a month every month last year. So my word was retrench, not zero out, because I knew that would be too hard. So my outs were that I could buy 1 deck a month and a free pass for any art deck, or either an artist-focused deck or an author-focused deck, because those are things that I do actually collect. That's the one area that I do actually feel I have a collection per se. So my one deck that I purchased was I was influenced by Ina at Taproot Tarot to get the magnificently beautiful Tarocchi Chaboseau Tarot from France, 1946, with the beautiful recoloration by, I think, Giordano Berti. And I sprung for the special box that looks like a book, and he sends a very sweet personal note and the card of the, where you are in the numbers of the limited edition, and the cards, which are really lushly beautiful, recolorized and clarified, and just rich jewel tones. Look at those cups. And I'm intentionally not doing full flip throughs. If I do, I might insert it somewhere. But especially on the decks that are coming in, I'm going to be doing individual flip throughs so that you can look that up. And this is also called the Tarot of Occult Energies. Tarocchi dell'Energie Occult. So, and it's in a box that looks like a book, and the box is lined with felt, and it's just, lovely, lovely. So that was my influence by Ina. My art deck, I showed the book in another video, the Edvard Munch Tarot. This is not new by any means. Let me see if there's a year in here. 2020, so not new at all. This is by Melanie Hanson, who has also done the, I think it's classical art for ancestral tarot. And it's interesting, she was in the middle of sending out a Kickstarter, so the deck came a little later. The book I got through, I think, thrift books. It was embarrassingly little, because currently on her website, the pairing of the deck and the book is not available. She said she's going to be restocking. And the deck is just, where else in our lives are we going to see this much work by Edvard Munch? It's just, I was raised in a family of the arts, and I've just never seen this much of his artwork. It is supposed to be a relationship-based deck. Each one of the book has a large section, not all this large, a large section about the artwork. And then it has how someone sees you, general reading, and future event or outcome. So it's about you in relationship to others, not only romantic relationships, although I think there's a large contingent of that. Munch's artwork is a little dark. His relationships were tortured. So if you want a light and happy deck, I don't think this is for you. But it does have positive cards. I mean, it has that balance of light and dark. And I will do an individual walkthrough of that. I'm trying to think, I was asking her shop is redorchidspirit.com. I think that's the name. I will have it here somewhere in the picture. And she said, and there are lots of books available on Amazon. So if you're interested in this right away, you can easily get the book on Amazon and get the deck through her website. If you want to wait a bit, she'll be restocking the books. And all of that was kind of on hold while she was dealing with completing a Kickstarter and getting her Kickstarter out. And for those of us who I already know this book, even though it's Waite-Smith based, the book has such depth that I am including this in my Tarot de Marseille study. It also has to do with the way my brain works with compare and contrast. But she actually said that this deck, what she felt was kind of an unsung hero. She really feels strongly about this deck, and she thinks it got a bit passed over by the ancestral deck. Okay, so those were my two allowed purchases. But, okay, I'll begin talking about, I am continuing my own Tarot de Marseille study. I don't have much in that playlist right now. I am following along with the Learning Marseille with ES&J, and very grateful. I've said in every time I mention it, I'm very grateful for their forum of discussion as well as for their syllabus, because it kind of gives me a little shape. But I always have to do everything in a more complex way. Instead of reading one book, I'm comparing and contrasting 6 books now. 3 Tarot de Marseille and 3 Waite-Smith. The Waite-Smith books are books that I've had going. Johannes Fiebig's book about not meditating. it'll come to me in a minute. It's about the Waite-Smith, but it's specifically about the Waite-Smith as, yeah, meditation, I think. And I really like his writing, and I found his writing in the guidebook for the Dolly Tarot to be so engaging. I decided I wanted to look up everything that he's doing. And then so I thought, and I know he has a Thoth book, which I have in my cart somewhere on hold. And I thought, well, why don't I look and see if he has a Tarot de Marseille book? And he does. But it's only available in a set with cards that I really, really don't like. They're kind of like airbrushed perfection Marseille cards with a strange coloring that's, it's nice. I mean, it's kind of an autumnal coloring. There, you can see from that. But if I want that coloring, I'm going to use my Tarot des Ozarks. And I'm also, you can see, it's very digitally cleaned up. Straight lines and almost kind of washed out at the same time. Somebody might love it, but I couldn't get the book without the deck. So, you know, in trying to get rid of decks, I actually brought one in so I could get the book. And I got it on eBay, and you know, as you can tell, it's in beautiful, brand new condition. And they lowered the price to, I think, below $10. So I was like, oh, okay, because I really want the book, because I really like his writing. It's written by Johannes Fiebig and Evelyn Buerger, and I believe they're partners. They've certainly been partners in writing tarot books for a long time. So that was another deck that came in. Does it count when I had to get it to go with the deck and I'm not interested in the deck? You know, it still takes up space on the shelf, so. And then a friend of mine was also clearing out Moon Rain Magic, and she sent me a picture of a bunch. She was going back home and showed me a picture of a bunch of decks and said, are you interested in any of these? And ta-da! Now, I didn't pay for it, so does that makes a difference? It was a gift. It was a gift, entirely a gift, and was incredibly sweet. The Arthur Rackham Oracle. This falls under my artist proviso, but my artist proviso really doesn't allow for 2 a month. But I didn't purchase it. It was given to me. And not only does this have like the wonderful artwork of Arthur Rackham, I will show you some of these or if I can get the glare off it. It is a shiny oracle deck. This incredible artwork. But I found out very quickly it's a Fae deck. The deck interview was so clear. It was very flattering. The cards that identified me were very flattering. The cards about our relationship were awakening and inspiration. So that's lovely. But the cards for the deck describing itself it was kind of like it was saying, oh, I'm tricksy. I'll do nasty little things behind your back. But I love you anyway. And I was like, oh, it's a Fae deck. Which is no surprise from these illustrations, from Rackham's illustrations. But I just knew Rackham as a wonderful illustrator, and so I didn't know his works well enough to know how much of it is kind of, and you can see there's kind of this crazy Fae energy in a lot of these drawings not there. Oh, that's lovely, isn't it? This kind of just wacky, overwhelming Fae energy going on in some of these. So I'm like, okay, it's a pay deck. I think I'll come back to that topic in a moment. So thank you. Thank you again. This is lovely. I love it. And I'm working with it already. And finally, an out-of-print deck, which I have no excuse for at all, other than I like it. Many of you will know this. It's the Tarot of the III Millenium. The majors are like this. The minors have little Tarot de Marseille in them. So this is going to be worked into my Tarot de Marseille study, but it's not at all. The drawings are neither traditional Tarot de Marseille nor Waite-Smith. And those are the court cards, And so this could be a bit of a fey deck too, I'm not sure. The court cards are colored. The minors have a little TDM insert. It's a fascinating deck. And I mean, even with the kind of creepy looking people in a lot of them, it's still, it's my cup of tea. On the creepy side of my cup of tea. I will be interested, and I edged it immediately. Right now, I will mention, I think it's Rochelle at Amethyst Ascension, a wonderful video about cleansing your decks and acquainting yourself with a new deck. Hopefully I'll remember to put the link in there. And I just thought, oh, you know what? This is also wonderful for no buy, low buy, or stop by and start reading, because it's yet another way to connect with your deck. And I forwarded a video by Tom Benjamin about, I can't remember the title. I'll link that below too, which was also about just taking time with your deck. Like, he had a series of exercises where you had a certain amount of time with one card and go through the whole deck that way. And then take that much time with maybe 3 cards and go through the deck that way. So this really in-depth meditation on the cards. And both of them, I thought, are just, I'm adding them to my playlist of low buy, no buy, and oh, I'm seeing a deer out there. Oh, let me see. I think I can share that with you. Are you seeing the deer in our yard? I have some corn out there for the deer. They have great trepidation because my dog will go chase them away. So anyway, that is my wrap up of those decks that I brought in. So that was a total of 5. And it was a failure, but a failure with mostly with excuses, except for maybe the III Millenium. Except that no, it's out of print, and I did find it on Poshmark, and I will say they didn't specify that they didn't have the box or the book, so I wasn't happy about that. But it's out of print, so I thought I'll take what I can get. But it's the edging it was so I put it in this bag that I'm not big on bags, but I remembered that one box had come with this bag, and I See, because the drawings are kind of a slate blue, but then the court cards are all in a green. So I thought this kind of teal, turquoise green somewhere in there would be nice with it. So much for retrenching. Although it is a retrench from what I was doing before, and there definitely are carts that I left full and unpurchased. So, good today, not as good. One step forward, two steps back. So now I will talk about my normal stuff. My focus deck of the month. I restructured, sort of. What I usually do is I have a focus deck of the month that I work with through the whole month. And then for every week, I have a pairing of that I focus on that week. That's what I did last year. I decided I wanted to loosen it up a little bit, give myself a little elbow room. And what I did is that I made the determination that those decks of the week, I will use all through the month in any randomized order. So it's still just those decks, and where did I put it? Oh, it's right there. It's still just those decks and one that I add in, and I had a holdover from the end of the year. I like to end the year and begin the new year with the Visconti-Sforza. Just the whole vibe of something eternal and timeless taking me through the end of the year is really important. And so, and as I said, we've been having a moment in addition to that, and whatever that means with a deck of cards. But no, we've been having a moment, and I've been loving reading with it. And so it got pulled through a lot of January, which probably lessened my time with my focus deck, to be honest about it. But that's okay. So my focus deck was the Yarn Tarot. Bright, beautiful. I used to do professional knitting and professional knit design, and not very successfully, but I have made a great deal of Vogue sweaters for myself and for a couple other people in my family. And it's hard to make any money doing knitwear. I mean, unless you're working for a shop in Ireland, and then even then, I don't know what the knitters themselves actually get. And then I haven't been able to knit at all for about 2 years because of my neck, shoulder, and arm problems. And pretty much everything I did required a lot of mobility. Playing the cello, knitting, and playing the harp. And those were all hobbies and income sources, the music teaching income source. And I also had to give up voice students because I usually would work with the harp with my voice students, and I can't play enough to keep up to speed with their accompaniment. I can barely play at all right now because of this constant pain from caregiving for my mother. So anyway, where was I going? Oh, so I used to knit. So that I paired with the Loteria Remedios, which is bright and beautiful. And it was a wonderful pairing, and I'll be showing you pictures of this. So I don't want to have to open everything and go through pairings. So being the first, second, and third deck of the month, my focus was fairy tale decks because I wanted lightness and brightness. Also for starting my year, I wanted that evocation of childhood. So I paired the inner child cards with the Trust Your Vibe Oracle, and oh my goodness, were they beautiful on the table together. Absolutely swept away. And of course, these being developed to be inner child work were exactly the ticket of what I was wanting from a fairy tale deck at this time of year. My other deck was the Radiant 2 by Alexander Eldridge, the Radiant Tarot, which is also a pip deck, so it worked with my more of a focus on Tarot de Marseille, and her Oracle of the Rewilding, or the Oracle of Rewilding. Beautiful. This isn't a fairy tale deck per se, but the colors just really make me think of fairy tales, and the combination of animal heads on people bodies, you know, which I do like, some people don't. The bright colors, it all just felt very fairy tale to me, and and Alexandra Eldridge, not only is she a wonderful artist, she's just an adorable person to interact with online, just so lovely. Next up was a pairing of Victor Valentim's Tarot dos Contos de Fada. The guidebook is in Portuguese only. I think I got it on Amazon. It might have been European Amazon. I can't remember. It is... oh, you'll see the photos as I insert them. It is Disney influenced, as in terms of Disney movie influenced, in terms of the characters. It is computer art. It is not AI. I did have a question and I really searched to find the answer, and it is not AI. And I paired it with the Broccoli Mag Fairy Tale Oracle. I think that cover photo is pretty representative of, they're a bit dark. Kind of like if you have the Mushroom Oracle, they're similar in that vein. As like the Mushroom Oracle, they're split into like 4 different aspects. Anyway, I thought they paired very well. This pairs with several things actually very nicely. I will say the Tarot dos Contos de Fada, I found out very quickly that it's a shadow deck. And one of the things that would normally irritate me, now think about fairy tales. A lot of the queens are evil, but not all of them in fairy tales. But in this deck, all 4 of the queens are evil, and the Empress is evil. One of the queens is the evil queen from Snow White, and the Empress is the evil queen from Snow White. In the Empress, she's in her young self, holding an apple, and as one of the court queens, she's disguised herself as the older woman selling apples. So you have to ask yourself, well, if you're making all of the queens of each suit evil characters, that colors the deck. And it was through working with it that I realized that I mean, I could see it laying them out, but it's different when you're working with it and the cards come up and you're like, she's the Queen of Cups, but she's evil. And so it colors the readings. And so I realized it's a shadow deck, and I don't explicitly do or look for shadow work. So in that case, it's good to know, because then I have a fairy tale deck that I have a variety of fairy tale decks, and that one I know does shadow work, even though it's bright and very beautiful to look at, and because it's computer art, it's very crisp looking too. and has beautiful borders. A deck that was scheduled for the month that I decided to make it my focus deck of February, which I've already talked about, is the Tarot of the Divine. I realized that I want to spend more time with it than just as a focus deck of the month. I have all the books I have not read. I've read about a third of the individual stories, and I just realized they were not sticking in my head. So in my ideal world, I would get to know those stories so that when I see it, as well as I know these Eurocentric fairy tales, that I would know the world fairy tales. But that's going to take longer, and I'm taking the pressure off myself. This is that could be one of my sayings for this year, is that I'm taking the pressure off myself. I'm not doing as many challenges. I might do VRs, but anything, if it has challenge in the name, it's probably not going to happen. I'm conscientiously just letting go of anything that smacks of challenge, to try to free up my tension level. So those are the decks that I worked with on a weekly basis. Now, as you know, if you follow me on Instagram, I do, well, they're on my YouTube also. I do a daily affirmation, and I've been using the Gustav Great Bible Tarot for a scripture card. And beside that, I've been, fairy deck. I've been using the Victorian Fairy Tarot, which has beautiful quotes for each card. Not necessarily enlightening for the card. You can very easily see how the quote relates to each card, but whether it enlightens the meaning of the card, not necessarily, and definitely not an affirmation. So the other day I said both of the cards that came up, I said, these are more like warnings than affirmations. Because it's been a bit like that with this pairing. But so anyway, with using this deck and an experience that I had with the Moon Garden deck that started out negative and then shifted to positive, not recently, that happened last summer, I think. And then being given the Arthur Rackham deck, I'm realizing I think I need to start working more with fairy decks. I think that needs to be a component of what I work with. So I have enough to work with it now, and that may expand a little bit. Precious. We might have to get more fairy decks, precious. So that is my, that feeling called to fairy decks was one of the last things I thought I wanted to mention about the month. So those are the decks that I worked with this month. And I've mentioned I'm doing now the Tarot de Marseille, re-exploration of the Tarot de Marseille. I have turned that into a playlist on my channel. One of the things I did is I had my plans for what I would do with the Tarot de Marseille study. And I did my first introduction to that playlist. And then I got into it. And I realized some things weren't working. And that's when I actively engaged with the Learning Marseille with ES and J, and I liked their syllabus. I was reluctant because with my caregiving and maintenance, having to manage maintenance on this house and everything, I just, and it's not that it's a large house, it's that it's at that age where everything is falling apart. For example, in my bedroom, my window frame has had a gap this large for 3 years between the window frame and the actual window. So I've basically been living outdoors. Now I've had a towel stuffed in there. And in this cold snap, I've had the curtains and towel stuffed in there. That window replacement was supposed to happen today. But because we are averaging 20 degrees right now, I said, I just can't do, one of the windows that's being fixed is in her room. So I said, we can't do this right now. It has to be, because I'm not, it would be too hard to reheat the house up from 20 degrees when both of these rooms have had these gaping holes to the outside. So, and her window is not as bad, it just has a rotting frame, but mine I've had open to the outdoors, which makes my room very difficult to cool in the summer and heat in the winter. And it'll be nice to have that fixed. So anyway, with all of those things, I knew it would be very hard for me to maintain a schedule, and I'm grateful that they have, that they're videotaping it, so that I can not only watch, but also rewatch their conversations as I'm reading that section. And as I said, then, because my system fell apart, I started working with what they had and realized it wasn't hard enough. I needed to make it more complex. So as I said, I am now working with 3 Tower de Marseille books, thanks to getting the Johannes Fiebig book, and 3 Waite-Smith books, The Secrets of the Rider-Waite, the Johannes Fiebig Tarot for Meditation, I think it's called. I still can't remember the name of it. And, and the Edvard Munch guidebook, because I just think it adds something completely different into the mix. So, all that to say, and so if you're interested in the books, they are all in my reintroduction to Relearning the Marseille. That's the name of my playlist, Relearning the Marseille, or Relearning the Tarot de Marseille. And then I have a reintroduction, which talks about, it'll probably be a year-long focus for me in the midst of everything else. And it's part of my less viewing, more reading. So all 6 of those books are on my bedside. And I will also be working with cards, and as I work with them, I will be moving. I'll be recording some things. I'm trying to figure out, since especially some of the early stuff is looking for patterns in the suits. I did a whole video on that and I scrapped it because I just thought it was absolutely ponderous in the best and worst meanings of the word, and I just couldn't imagine anybody would be up for that. So I have to tell you a deck of the month. And I really thought that the Visconti-Sforza not only might make deck of the month, but could very easily become my deck of the year this year. We'll see. We'll see. But I realized just now going through this, I had a clear winner, and it is the Inner Child cards, Fairy Tale Tarot. And again, I paired these with the Trust Your Vibes, and just because it's so much what I wanted for this month. I wanted light and bright and sweet, and yes, of course there's darkness in this. There are darkness in fairy tales, and I mean, This is also fairy energy, if you want to get real. I mean, all of the fairy tales are fairy energy. But it just, in my memory of thinking back over the month, these are the ones that time and time again, and I didn't think these were going to be the ones, but these are the ones that just really rose to the top for me in my memory and my just joy in working with them. That's not that I didn't enjoy the others. I would say this one, I'm not crazy about shadow decks, and I certainly don't like all the queens being evil. So that one like went down in my estimation. But everything else, I really loved the brightness of the color, and but that's the one that really stood out to me. And again, another creator, Aisha Lerner, another creator that when I got this, she was dealing with a publication issue that one card was missing from that particular run. And in something that must have been a tremendous headache for her, she was so kind and so thoughtful in dealing with it and following up and making sure that it was right. So many good people in the world. And oh God, I'm gonna cry. That's what we have to hang on to, isn't it? So many good people in the world. And grateful for all of you. Let's hold on to that thought. And let's hope that that can transcend everything else. This is Kara from Lady Kara Tarot. I hope you had a wonderful January, and I hope that your February is filled with love and unexpected delights. Thank you.